And it looked like Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime. Guys, word on the street is that Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White exchanged words going into halftime of this Atlanta Dream game. Now, I'm here to tell you, no footage has emerged of the altercation, but I'm pretty sure within a couple hours it's going to be roaming somewhere out there that this exchange happened.
Caitlin Clark snaps at her coach on live TV? Yes, it happened, and the entire basketball world is talking about it. But here's what you haven't seen. This wasn't just a sideline argument. It was a breaking point, one that could tear the Indiana Fever apart from the inside.
Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard had the ball.
And once you hear what really led up to that moment, you'll realize it's much worse than anyone thought. The Indiana Fever are not okay. On the surface, it looks like a struggling team with young talent trying to figure things out. But behind the scenes, it's chaos.
Look, Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White clearly like and respect one another, right? But that doesn't mean they always see eye to eye. And I am beginning to suspect more and more that there's a bit of a divide between the way that they see the game and the way that they think the Indiana Fever should play. You can just hear what they have to say and connect the dots a little bit.
At the center of it all, Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in women's basketball, the one every fan came to see, the one who's breaking records, selling out arenas, and apparently clashing with her own coach.
Listen, man, this Caitlin Clark versus Stephanie White thing could turn ugly, and it could turn ugly fast, y'all. I have to be straight up with y'all. Stephanie White wants to play the polar opposite way that Caitlin Clark wants to play. The Indiana Fever got a big win yesterday, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half, the Indiana Fever played that Stephanie White style, that grinded out, ugly, puke basketball. Puke basketball in the first half. The second half, Caitlin Clark, even though she was making shots, went full throttle, pedal to the metal, and was running. She was just flat out running, pushing the tempo. And what did? We go put up almost 100 points. We go score 99. And I'm hearing about this altercation in the tunnel or around halftime. And if it happened, I'm glad it happened. And it needs to continue to happen. And Caitlin Clark needs to continue to put her foot on their neck because this is her team.
That's right. Multiple reports confirm that Clark and Fever head coach Stephanie White had a heated halftime argument, caught on camera, seen by thousands, and now going viral. Sources say Clark was furious, tired of being ignored by teammates who refused to pass her the ball, and she let the coach know it.
It was only a matter of time, bro, that Caitlin Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlin Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people thinking Caitlin Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. Told y'all about a week ago, Caitlin Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlin Clark we've seen right before injury.
According to eyewitnesses, she even told White to bench those players. Specifically, Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, veterans who repeatedly looked Clark off mid-possession, and it wasn't subtle.
All right, so let's take a look at the clip here. People talking about body language, people talking about Caitlin is fed up. They're talking about how Howard is just selfish with the ball. Let's just take a look at it, man. So she dumps it down. Watch Caitlin's shoulders here. She kind of like, Then she goes to tie her shoes as Howard goes to work and misses the layup, man. Oh, my goodness. Now, tying your shoes is kind of diabolical. Now, I've seen it before where players take a little time to kind of tie their shoes if they're out of the play and they know they're not going to get the ball in it or something like that. But, yeah.
Clark's body language was loud. She walked back on defense, tied her shoes during active plays, and refused to make eye contact when certain teammates had the ball. This wasn't just frustration, this was a silent protest, One moment said it all. End of the third quarter. Natasha Howard has the ball. Caitlin Clark is wide open. Howard looks her off again and runs straight into traffic. Wastes the entire possession.
And by the way, if you guys didn't see Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, I do want to apologize about the size. I do want to apologize about the size of these clips. If I make the clips any bigger, I will get copyright claims. If you're wondering why I'm not doing any breakdowns and why people aren't doing that, they're going to get copyright claims. So, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere. Takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back.
Moments later, Howard even blocked her own teammate Clark at the rim. Let me say that again. Blocked her own teammate. That's not basketball. That's disrespect. So where was Coach Stephanie White? Nowhere. Silent. Letting it happen. The truth is, this has been building for weeks because the Fever are running 2 different offenses on the same court. One is Caitlin Clark's system, modern, fast-paced, unselfish, built on ball movement and IQ.
You got to understand something, Stephanie White. You could have stayed in Connecticut. Caitlin Clark didn't go to Connecticut and join your program. You came where she was. Natasha Howard came where she was. She did not go join y'all. So don't try to come over here and take away everything that she does well and try to get her to blend into what y'all do. The fans have spoke. This Stephanie White versus Caitlin Clark thing can turn very nasty, and let's really see which way do you think the organization is gonna go. You gotta remember, Kelly Crosskoff and Amber Cox, they out here trying to sell the Indiana Fever as Apple. Apple, man, y'all ain't no goddamn app. Y'all not even Boost Mobile. You do realize this franchise didn't make the playoffs for over 10 years until Caitlin Clark got there. You do realize Kelsey Mitchell was winning like 6 games a year as a pro. She was winning like 6 games a year. This ain't no Apple. This ain't no Apple. Caitlin Clark is the Apple.
The other, ISO plays. Hero Ball, a system that relies on contested mid-range shots and chaos. And it's not working. The Fever had a game recently where everything clicked. Clark took over in the second half even though her shot wasn't falling. She kept pushing the tempo, found open teammates, made elite-level reads. Within 6 minutes, a 4-point lead became a 17-point blowout. The team looked unstoppable. That wasn't luck, that was Caitlin Clark. But instead of committing to that style, Coach White keeps trying to balance both systems.
It was about a little under like 6.5 minutes in this game where Clark gets angry. She gets normally like visibly pumped up, and she just starts like it's like there's like a switch that flipped at this moment. She just started attacking like relentlessly, driving into the lane, taking fouls, taking hard shots, getting rejected, doesn't matter. She's pushing pace, she's in your face, she's getting aggressive, and that's opening up everything else. And while her shot wasn't falling tonight, she had some good open looks.
And it's killing the team's chemistry. Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's the only thing holding this team together. She's doing everything she can, passing, rebounding, defending, while teammates walk around, hold the ball, and freeze her out. And it's not just effort, it's culture. Take Kelsey Mitchell. Last season, she sprinted off the ball, made herself available, attacked the rim. This season, she walks it. No cuts, no spacing, no urgency. That's not a coincidence. That's a statement. Some of these players are more focused on stat padding than winning. And the coaching staff is too afraid to pick a side. Well, Clark picked one. She's not here for drama. She's not here to be everyone's friend. She's here to win. And when she snapped at Stephanie White, she wasn't lashing out. She was demanding accountability because Clark knows what winning looks like. She's done it her whole life. And this system, it's not going to work. That sideline blow-up wasn't the story. It was the symptom. Behind the scenes, this team is splintering. Players like Sophie Cunningham, they get it. They run. They space. They trust Clark to lead.
Part of that was also Sophie Cunningham. So Sophie Cunningham tonight, like most importantly, was 4 for 5 from 3, had 10 rebounds, so a double-double on the night and 16 points total. And she also had a blocked shot. So she was all over the floor. She was getting lots of rebounds, 2 of them offensive, and really making a huge impact in being that set 3-point shooter to also supplement the offense, which Hull hasn't been as successful with, or other players haven't been as successful with consistently, including Clark. And so to have another player that can kind of pick up that slack and start to rein in those threes so we can match the Atlanta Dream, who were, crushing it on 3-pointers. I think between just Jordan Canada and Ryan Howard, they had 10 on their own. So we needed someone to match that, and Sophie was that player tonight, getting hype and out there, getting the crowd hype too. So huge impact from Sophie tonight. Really, the comments about being pissed off about the previous game came to fruition here.
But others, they're stuck in the past, refusing to adapt, refusing to move without the ball, and refusing to follow Caitlin's lead. So now Indiana has a decision to make. Either they build around Caitlin Clark, or they keep juggling egos, sacrificing chemistry, and wasting one of the greatest basketball minds this game has ever seen. Because Caitlin isn't just a scorer, she's a system. When she runs the show, the Fever win. When they ignore her, chaos takes over. You can see it in the stats. You can see it in the flow of the game. And now, you can see it on live TV. That viral moment, that argument, that was the result of months of dysfunction. And Clark finally had enough. She didn't explode because she's immature. She exploded because no one else would say it out loud. This team is broken, the system is broken, and it's time to fix it. So, where do the Fever go from here? If they're smart, they rally around their star. They give her the reins. They let her lead. Because Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's the solution. Drop a 100% in the comments if you're riding with Clark. Smash that like button if you've seen enough of the drama. And subscribe for more breakdowns just like this. Because the Fever might be in trouble. But Caitlin Clark, she's just getting started.
And greetings from Cambridge Fieldhouse.
Crowd jammed outside.
Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings take on Caitlin Clark and the Fever as the two friends face each other for the first time in WNBA action.
Caitlin Clark didn't just silence her critics. She humiliated Paige Beckers on national television while shattering 4 WNBA records in one historic blowout.
Finds Lexi in the corner, extra Caitlin deep one, left wing from downtown and her town. 3-2 Fever.
The rivalry we've waited 5 years for, it finally happened. And it was brutal.
Got off of our live watch party for the Indiana Fever versus Dallas Wings game, where the Indiana Fever beat the Dallas Wings 102-83. This was a highly anticipated game because it was going to be the first time that Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers would be going up against one another in the WNBA.
But what Paige did after the game shocked everyone even more, because this rivalry just went from competitive to deeply personal.
On her home floor. Here's Clark off the give and go, extra feed, and the lay from Howard.
It all started in high school. 2 teenage basketball prodigies, Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, rising through the ranks as future faces of the sport. Different styles, different personalities, and totally different paths. Clark chose Iowa, determined to build her own legacy.
One of the things that Lisa Bluder's worked on all season is getting Clark off the ball more. Here's Clark driving and laying, and Caitlin Clark has the first point.
Beckers went to UConn, joining a dynasty under Gino Auriemma.
Turnover from Iowa. Beckers connects.
For years, their matchups were legendary, but let's be clear, Clark dominated. She won 2 of their 3 college meetings, including a 41-point masterpiece in March Madness that ended UConn's season.
Clark to inbound, Iowa by 2, 0.8 to go, and that will do it! Iowa survives Connecticut and heads back to the national championship game.
Still, critics clung to Paige's polish. Even Gino Auriemma publicly doubted whether Clark's wild style would translate to the WNBA. Fast forward to now, the first time Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers face off as professionals. This wasn't just another game. This was a war of philosophies, reputations, and pride.
Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark have finally faced off in the pros, so of course the better than, worse than debate has started. First of all, this is such a funny thing to constantly do, but it is sports. It is something where people are constantly being compared to one another. I do sort of feel like this is a little overblown, but there are differences to their game, there are similarities to their game, and I want to first state that I am not a Paige Bueckers hater. I think she's a great player, but it's like comparing a scalpel to a firework. However, there are going to be different impacts that each player has on their team.
Clark had everything to prove. Bueckers had everything to protect. And the Fever, they'd been inconsistent. One good game, then a disaster. Coach Stephanie White preferred a slower, structured half-court offense. But Clark, she wanted chaos. She wanted to push the pace, fire full-court passes, and stretch the floor.
Tic-tac-toe!
Clark, the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done! Touchdown, Fever!
Around an AB screen to the right elbow, bounce pass, AB at the foul line, fires.
So the question going into this showdown was simple. Would Stephanie White finally let Clark play her game? Or would she hold the reins tight and risk letting this moment slip away?
Listen, man, this Caitlin Clark versus Stephanie White thing could turn ugly, and it could turn ugly fast, y'all. I have to be straight up with y'all. Stephanie White wants to play the polar opposite way that Caitlin Clark wants to play. The Indiana Fever got a big win yesterday, and it was a tale of two halves. The first half, the Indiana Fever played that Stephanie White style, that grinded out, ugly, puke basketball. Puke basketball in the first half. The second half, Caitlin Clark, even though she was making shots, went full throttle, pedal to the metal, and was running. She was just flat out running, pushing the tempo. And what did? We go put up almost 100 points. We go score 99. And I'm hearing about this altercation in the tunnel or around halftime. And if it happened, I'm glad it happened. And it needs to continue to happen. And Caitlin Clark needs to continue to put her foot on their neck because this is her team.
Then came the shocker. Stephanie White handed Clark the keys. And what happened next was historic. Clark opened up the floor like never before. She controlled the pace, directed the offense, and made the Wings look lost in transition.
She actually brought up stats from a shooting slump Steph Curry went through. She said that made her feel a lot better. That pass will as well, right on the money to Mitchell. Then turning the corner, dishing to Hull, extra feed Clark, a deep three. You bet!
In the second quarter alone, the Fever exploded for 36 points, outscoring Dallas by 21. It was beautiful basketball. Clark's vision created constant mismatches. Her teammates came alive. Kelsey Mitchell dropped 20 points. Natasha Howard ran wild in the paint. And Aaliyah Boston, she became a force, converting every pass Clark fed her. By halftime, the Fever had scored a franchise record 64 points.
Here comes Indiana. Clark back in. Off to Hull. Catch. Fire. You bet.
A historic first half for the Fever. Indiana puts up 64 points.
The ball movement was surgical. Clark had already racked up double-digit assists. And she wasn't even forcing her shot. But this wasn't just about offense. Clark brought intensity on defense too, picking off passes, anticipating moves, and creating chaos.
Paige has it, bounce pass, cookies in the Cookie Monster shoes. Caitlin lays it in left side.
When she notched her 5th steal, she became the only player in WNBA history to post 14 points, 13 assists, and 5 steals in a game for the second time in her career. No one else has ever done that. Not once. It was dominance. It was leadership. It was a masterclass. And Paige, she played well. Don't get it twisted. 21 points. Efficient shooting.
She was talking with their player development coach yesterday as Bueckers buries the jumper. Kaisazura keeps it alive. Here's Bueckers, a deep one. Is good! Paige Bueckers from Caitlin Clarkland.
But her impact was quiet, drowned out by the roar of Clark's control over every inch of the floor. And then came the post-game press conference. That's when things got icy. Paige was asked what went wrong in the second quarter. Her response? Blunt. Mostly just transition defense and us not getting back. They got easy offense.
Paige, the second quarter was a tough one. Just what were some of the things that you saw that led to the Fever having such a significant margin?
Mostly just transition defense and us not getting back. Maybe crashing too many or just not having two people back, rushing up to the ball instead of getting back. And then just on missed shots and on turnovers, they just got out and got easy off it.
She didn't name names, but she didn't hold back either. She called out her own team's effort, and by extension gave Clark full credit without saying her name. When asked what it was like going head-to-head with Caitlin, she kept it cold. Yeah, it's fun. We're two competitors who want to win. Great environment, sellout crowd.
Paige, I know you've been asked a lot about it, but now that you finally have played a game against Caitlin in the W, just what was it like? What was the atmosphere like today going head-to-head with her?
Yeah, it's fun. Anytime we can compete against each other. We're two competitors who just want to win and who have grown up to be playing against each other, playing with each other. So it's great, and the environment's great here. I feel like every game is a sellout, and so they have a great home court advantage. So overall, yeah, great environment.
Not exactly warm praise. No, she played great. No, she dominated. Just flat professionalism. Paige wasn't smiling. She wasn't joking. She wasn't trying to hide how much this loss stung. And when reporters asked about turnovers, especially the ones Clark picked off, Paige said, "She's smart. She'll deny passing lanes and make catches difficult."
Paige, it felt like the first meeting against Fever, they were tapping you a lot. Today, you were still able to be efficient and get your points. How do you feel like they kind of guard you maybe differently this time compared to the first game?
I feel a lot in the same. I still feel like I could have taken care of the ball better. But two, just making the right read out of the trap, out of them setting a double and then playing to that advantage. So more to him.
It was respect, but without any warmth. This wasn't a rivalry built on friendship. This was the moment Paige Beckers quietly declared, "I'm not here to clap for Caitlin Clark." And that's when fans knew this wasn't just hype. This is war. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark didn't just beat Paige Beckers. She exposed the gap. While Paige hit some smooth mid-range jumpers, Clark was controlling tempo, leading fast breaks, initiating ball movement, and disrupting passing lanes. She didn't just score, she elevated everyone around her. She made the Dallas Wings and their stars look completely overmatched. Paige Beckers, she was a bucket, but Caitlin Clark was the system. And that's what made this game more than a win. It was a statement. A philosophical victory, a strategic triumph, and a slap in the face to everyone who said Clark's style wouldn't work in the WNBA. This was the Fever fully embracing Clark basketball, fast, flowing, and relentless, and unleashing the version of themselves fans had been begging for. Coach White changed her system, and in doing so, she unlocked a monster. But Paige's reaction tells us this story is far from over. Her chilly tone, her refusal to play the media's praise game, that wasn't bitterness. That was a warning. This rivalry isn't settled, it's just getting started. The next time these two meet, the stakes will be even higher. And make no mistake, Paige Beckers will be coming for revenge. But after this performance, she'll have to come a lot harder because Caitlin Clark didn't just dominate a game, she redefined one. So, where do you stand? Is this the beginning of the greatest rivalry the WNBA has ever seen? And can Paige ever catch up? Let us know in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild moments like this one. Team CC or Team Paige, choose your side.